So, director Sam Raimi of Spider-Man and Evil Dead fame, among others, has confirmed that he is indeed the director for Doctor Strange 2. Now, this is a movie, one of the few that I'm actually excited for after Marvel pretty much ended its first run of shared universe stories with Endgame, and now we've got these new films coming. And a little interested with Black Widow, although I wish that had been done earlier. But Doctor Strange I really enjoyed, and I am looking forward to the others. They have all have concern for me about whether those would live up to expectations and what have you. But Doctor Strange is one that I think can rise above the rest. And actually, when they talk about looking for someone to replace Iron Man as the main figurehead and possible more or less leader of the Marvel, they should go with Doctor Strange. But it looks like they're not going to do that. Well, that's too bad. But maybe they'll rethink things in light of recent events. But anyway, Sam Raimi replaces Scott Derrickson, who had directed the first movie, and he did a good job. I really enjoyed that one. And the idea was that they would move into a more horror movie type style, extra ambiance, what have you. And I'm still thinking that's the case because Sam Raimi, well, he got his start in horror movies. He understands the genre, and he could certainly be the one to meld the two since he's done both superheroes and not just Spider-Man. He did his own with Darkman, and of course horror with the Evil Dead series and so forth. And he can mold that, and I have a lot of confidence in his abilities to do this. He did probably the best Spider-Man movies, the first two. He did really well with that. The third one, I don't know what happened. That was terrible. So yeah, he could screw this up. It is possible. Nobody's perfect, but but as far as the idea that Doctor Strange is supposed to be, sort of grounded in the horror style, I think that's probably still a possibility, since the rumor is the main villain would be Nightmare. Now, there was talk that the Nightmare character could be gender swapped, and in these days, oh God, they're so obsessed with that. Possible signs of the Dune movie being ruined by that type of stuff. They've gender swapped a character for no reason. I mean, it doesn't make any sense why. He explains it that the character would be better as a woman, but the writer wrote the story and it was this character. But nevertheless, that's Dune. But here we have with Doctor Strange's main villain, Nightmare, possibly being gender swapped, and it's the sort of entity that I suppose you could argue it could shift sexist, since it doesn't really have one. But Nightmare was always depicted as a male character in the comics, and the rumor being that Cillian Murphy is up for that role, and the other rumored actress to join this, not as Nightmare but rather as Clea, was Emma Watson. And if you know your Doctor Strange comics, you understand who Clea is, and it would make sense coming out of this story about the multiverse and whatnot, as she comes from another dimension and all that. Well, so why did Derrickson leave then? Well, I think it had something to do with he was not happy with the interference of having to make his movie fit with the D+ series WandaVision, where Scarlet Witch will play a role in this movie, and probably a very big one. He was upset. The rumor was, he says, why don't we just change it from Doctor Strange to Scarlet Witch, that her involvement is that much. I don't know, but this, this holding together of this whole idea of maintaining the shared universe deal, some of the movies do function on their own. And so Doctor Strange, the original film, well, there's a few little bells and whistles in it, but for the most part, Easter eggs as you wish. But for the most part, it's Doctor Strange's movie. Here, this won't be the case, as they want more involvement with these other characters. And since it's kind of hard to get these directors to want to come around on that, but look, it's not your personal project. It belongs to them. You're hired to make this happen, and if you don't like it, well, and that's what happened here. Whereas Raimi is possible, is more open to this sort of thing. I imagine they discussed what it is they're shooting for. Can he do it? He proposes an idea, perhaps, however they did this, and it seems like they're agreeable to it, and that's how this goes. Now, what he will do further after that, well, there are other rumors that they're looking to use multiverse-type deals with Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man and the Doctor Strange have often had run-ins in the comics all the time, probably because they both come out of Steve Ditko. But Spider-Man knew Doctor Strange very well, and so some way he could come into this. And one of the ideas is that because his identity has been revealed and he's been smeared as a criminal by J. Jonah Jameson at the end of his last movie, that the multiverse idea, which was only a hoax in that movie, becomes a real thing and a possibility for Peter to relocate to another alternate reality where his identity is still a secret, and then switches places with one of the previous actors who played Spider-Man. And for the rumors said it would be Tobey Maguire. Now, of course, the age difference, I mean, I don't know how you make this work and fit, so this would involve Doctor Strange in some kind of shenanigans in that way, but that this would somehow work with the deal that they have with Sony, where the MCU has its Spider-Man and they have theirs, and then they can get their own Spider-Man movie out of the deal for their Venomverse and all that sort of thing. And for the most part, and the idea that an older Peter Parker would take his Tom Holland's place here in the MCU is that they would be adapting some of the ideas of Parker Industries and all that stuff, that he's an older man and he runs, this technology company, very much like Tony Stark did. And then that's how they would leave it at that. And possibly he would just retire from being a superhero and this sort of thing. I don't know how it's getting a bit crazy, but with the abilities revealed in the Doctor Strange movies, or movie at this point, well, maybe so. So maybe there's something to that, and they would have Raimi come in and navigate that for them, since he pretty much created that version of Spider-Man in those Sony films. And of course, there's been teases with the upcoming Morbius movie, where you have what appears to be Michael Keaton's Vulture character in that film, And then there's a scene of Spider-Man on the wall, and it looks like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So, people take this for what it is, but it could be just shenanigans on the part of Sony, but they did do a new deal. So things might be a little different about how much they can use and what they can reference. And so, yeah, maybe they would do this actual crossover. But that's a bit far afield. Probably the more likely of these rumors, well, it's confirmed that he is directing the movie, but the two actors, Cillian Murphy and Emma Watson, more than likely are probably going to be in the film as those characters, and there you go for Doctor Strange. So, for the most part, yeah, having Sam Raimi helm this movie, I think is probably very good news. So, still feeling good about Doctor Strange 2. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe? Sure, why not? You're already here. And check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Most notably, my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yes, you can get that over at indieplanet.com. And, of course, you can catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at radiomisfits.com. And, of course, you can watch my videos on my BitChute channel. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.